Hey boys, welcome back to some more Rugby League Live 4, or whatever it's going to be called, Wishlist and Ideas video here. I've talked about a few things previously. It'll be in a playlist. Go check them out if you haven't already. Talked about some cool things, but in this video, as the title will suggest, it's going to be depth. Career mode depth, be a pro depth, and you know, that sort of thing. I was going to talk about, I was going to combine talking about the depth here with game modes, but there's just too much to talk about, so I'm going to be splitting those up. In the next video, we'll be talking about game modes and something everybody, or a lot of people always talk about wanting, but this one, depth. So, it's one thing, it's probably the second biggest thing that I think the game needs. The first being AI, better AI anyway, and this one being more depth in the career modes, be a pro and coaching a full team, because as it is right now, it's not bad. Like, well, it's pretty shallow, really. There's not too much to really manage other than signing players, you know, and choosing your team. That's pretty much it. So there's a few things I would like, and that is the return of like the inbox system, because it's not there in Rugby League Live 3. Now in previous games, it was always pretty like meaningless. Like you would just get an email at the start like, oh, you know, we expect you to go well this season, blah blah blah. But it's something that it just adds a little bit of flavor to the game. Obviously they could make it a bit more creative if they wanted to. That sort of stuff, a bit more pressure on you. Get emails. Like I still remember, like I'm gonna refer back to Rugby League 3 for the Wii a little bit in this, because it had some really good career mode features, and one of those was you would get messages from your players who were out of contract. You wouldn't just get you know, when recruiting came around, you wouldn't just see their name, or you know, this player is out of contract, sign them, blah blah blah, whatever it was. You would actually get like a message from that player, a little, like, you know, a pretty similar message all the time. It might have been the exact same for everyone, but it just those little things that game had, which was really cool. And obviously, like I said, the more detail the better, but you know, if there's a few, if it's just a bit like samey, that's fine. Like I said, just for a bit of flavor and stuff like that. Like if a player, you know, just like a good example is players who aren't playing in the starting grade. You know, you get occasional emails from them saying they want some game time. They think they're worthy of it. Also, you know, and on relation to that, you get emails from those players saying, you know, they'll be looking to go to another club if they don't get more game time, this and that. So, you know, you might have the sort of the obligation there, because if you got a young fella that you want to keep and he's sending you an email being like, I'm gonna leave if I don't get some game time, then you might chuck him on the bench and give some younger guys a bit of a run, because you know the fears there of losing some players you want to keep. You know, just that sort of stuff. You know, messages from like the board, stuff like that. Another big thing I would like is more actual manager type aspects. So I can't remember what Rugby League games it was in. Like I'm trying to think like what stuff is from what, but just the thing I would like added is sort of like getting to see like your membership, getting to see like the crowds. Like every week you get like let's say every week you get a report and it shows like your crowd figures, and I would like it to be pretty like statistical and pretty in-depth. Like it shows your average crowds, it shows this week's, if it went up, if it went down, how much it went up or how much it went down. You know, your membership figures, how they went. You know, just those sort of manager type aspects to the game. And further on that point, having like dictation over how much ticket prices are. So one week, you know, you could be having a bit of a bad run, crowd figures are down a bit. So this week you decide, we'll go real cheap. We'll put the prices way down, get a big crowd, try to get some atmosphere, and I would really like, it reflected in the game, because you know how, as it is now, like crowd figures, it's generally just the same. Like if two big teams are playing, the crowd's going to be like full no matter what. And pretty much like every NRL game in Rugby League Live 3, the crowd is like pretty much full. But I'd really like it more reflective. So you start the season out, and let's say you start the season out, everyone's going to have good crowds, right? Start of the season, everyone's got high expectations, this and that. If you're going well, your crowds are going to be up above your average, around your average, really good. Memberships up, that sort of stuff. But if you start going bad, then crowd figures do deplete, and I would like it reflected in the game, so you do see more empty seats the worse you're going and stuff like that. Just manager aspects in that term. Another thing I would like is actually to do with like, I don't know about this point. I've been thinking about it, and I'm sort of iffy about it, and that is like stadium editor. So, and the thing I'm iffy about, so what I would like is, when you earn more money, instead of just having money to spend on the salary cap, obviously, there's more aspects to that than just salary cap. You can upgrade your stadiums, upgrade that sort of stuff, and I would like that included, like upgrading facilities, upgrading this and that, maybe putting in a new stand. But the thing I'm iffy on is if that should be like a reflected in the game, like a visual reflection. Because I'm thinking about it, like in Don Brown Cricket 17, you can build your own stadium. So I was like, damn, like it would be so cool if the next Rugby League game, when you had like all the, the manager mode, when you implement these like changes to your stadium, you build a new stand, you redesign something, it would actually reflect that in game. But then I'm sort of like, well, but they do a really good job. Like I thought Rugby League Live 3 did a really good job of the stadiums in that game, and the next game's only going to be better. So it's like, if we can actually edit the stadium to reflect it in game, it's not going to look as professional. It's not going to look as good. So I'm sort of on the fence if that's a good thing or not. Obviously, if the tools are there, and maybe the tools are just simplified where, it has a minor aesthetic change. It doesn't, like, you're not redesigning the whole thing. But I don't know, it'd be pretty interesting. Another interesting thing would be actually, after like a fair few seasons into the career mode, you could actually spend like a lot of money and build a new stadium. That would actually be pretty cool. Even if the stadium didn't look that good, it would be really awesome to actually build your own stadium and locate it where you want. Obviously Brisbane Broncos, good example. Build a stadium located in, I don't know, Redcliffe, somewhere like that, somewhere else other than Brisbane, obviously. More of like a country area. That would be actually awesome. Make your own stadium in coach mode. Obviously costs a lot of money. Maybe it's over a few seasons. You're not going to get it done all at once. You got to make changes and upgrades over the time. That would actually be pretty cool. And then that would go onto your team's, like, you would still play at like Suncorp Stadium, but then you have an alternative stadium you play at. I don't really know how that would work in coach mode, because it would actually have to upgrade on the fly, so it might not really work, but it's a cool idea. I don't really expect something like that, but it would be pretty awesome, I gotta say. And I'll go back to the point of like the emails and stuff. For Beer Pro, I've just been talking about like manager mode at the moment, but Beer Pro, the same thing applies with like the emails. Like you get like an update, and not really, obviously the update every week is not about crowd figures and stuff. It's about your performance, how you're going, expectations, that sort of stuff. Just general emails every so often, updating you on what they want to see from you. and that sort of stuff. Another thing that would be pretty cool is actually in Beer Pro, you had like, you know, messages from like fans every so often, or maybe you had messages from haters talking shit, or, you know, giving you some praise. Just, you know, just little flavor things like that thrown in would be pretty cool, and just add a little bit more to the experience. The next one here, I think this is the last one I'm going to talk about. I'm trying to think, but this is a big one as well, and that is training, the training drills and how they work. So in coach mode, the training drills, I don't even think you can do the training drills in the coach mode, or if you can, they're meaningless. There's no point in doing them. What I would like, and just what would make sense, is the same system like FIFA, pretty much the same system. Every week you have a set number of training drills. So at the moment we got 4. There's a goal kicking one. Obviously that's good. Keep that one. You've got the passing one, which is, I mean, I would like that changed to saying a little bit. Honestly, I want the passing one to change from, you know, just running up and down the field to like a 3-on-2 situation. You know, you got 3 attackers, 2 defenders, like just the standard rugby league training drill. You have to choose the right option, throw the dummy, the short pass, or the cutout pass, and that's the drill. Get rid of the running up and down the field. I think it's a bit silly. The defense one, again, I don't really like this one. It's just one after the other tackles. What I would like is just the opposite of the passing one. So instead of you being the attacker, you being the defender this time. So you got to stop the 3-on-2. Simple. It would be a lot more fun. It'd be a lot more engaging than just tackling one after the other. Then you've got the more general play kicking. You know, hitting the target. Yeah, that one's pretty good. I would like it a little bit more. It's not the best in that, but it's still a good idea. I just like it a little bit more fleshed out. And I'm trying to think if there's a couple. Like, I'd probably want a couple more training drills to make this a little bit more diverse. But I can't really think of them now. But you know, just, you know, have like 6 drills. 6 good drills would be ideal, and then every week you choose, I don't know, 4 or 5, probably like 4 or 5 players to do a set drill. And you know, it can either be like FIFA where you get A, B, C, or D, or it could be like previous rugby league games where you get gold, silver, or bronze. And the better you go, the more stats you can boost for that type. So obviously, simple one, you choose whoever it is, whatever player you want for a goal kicking drill. He gets gold in that, he gets a certain amount of points, he can increase his goal kicking. And obviously, you know, it's not just, you can't just increase the stats, it's sort of like a progression. Like, pretty much think of it like FIFA, you know, you get a progression, the bar ticks around, and when it gets to the max, you then level up. So, you know, choose the goal kicking one, he gets gold, and after a certain amount of time, he can increase his goal kicking stats depending how good he is. Obviously, he starts out really low. Upgrading is going to be a lot quicker. The higher you get, it's going to take longer, but you know, that's the type of thing. So in that situation, you can actually increase stats of players. In Rugby League Live 3, I don't really notice players getting better or worse over time. They pretty much just stay the same, just generally get better in a few years. But I'd like to actually specifically target a certain amount of players to improve quicker, and then on top of that, you know, just generally players, if their form is good, they're just generally going to increase slightly. If their form is bad, then they can go down slightly. But yeah, that would make it a lot more robust. It would actually give you something to do other than just play game. You got to actually train your players up. And obviously this works for Beer Pro in the same sense. Because the way they did it in Beer Pro was, I didn't really like, because obviously you had the 4 drills, but they didn't target a stat that you did. So pretty much you could do the goal kicking drill and get gold in that, but it didn't actually increase your goal kicking stat because the stats were sort of linked. They're going to go back to a stat by stat basis for the next game, they said. So that's, well, they said it for all their next games, big ant, so you can assume it's going to be for this game as well. So yeah, same thing, you do goal kicking. In this way you can actually really target what you want to increase. So if you got a fullback, be a pro, you want to turn him into a goal kicking fullback, then you keep doing, and for this one, let's say you can have him do 4 or 5 drills. So you have him do goal kicking. Actually, probably you'd probably need to decrease it a little bit, because let's say there's only 6 drills. If you're allowed to do 5 drills, then you're pretty much going to get, everything's going to eventually get maxed out. I'd probably rather you have to actually choose what you want to increase. So maybe like 2 or 3 drills. So you really have to target what you actually want to improve. So maybe you just want to improve your speed and your goal kicking. So you do a goal kicking drill and you do an attacking drill. And yeah, if you get, same thing, you level up, then you can pump stats into that area. Yeah, I think that's a much better way of doing it. I'm trying to think any other career mode depth things to talk about. I think I covered most of the things I want to. If you guys have any other career mode aspects, be a pro aspects, feel free, post them in the comments section below. I like checking out people's recommendations on that sort of stuff. But yeah, that is this video done and dusted. Another long one. So a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of ideas in my brain about the next game. I just, ideally, game amazing. But obviously, I'll reiterate. Obviously, all this stuff I say is not. It's not realistic that all this stuff is going to be implemented, but just hopefully certain aspects can be, and then over time, more aspects, this and that, things get fine-tuned. But yeah, that's career mode depth, be a pro depth, that sort of stuff. The next video I'm going to be talking about game modes and the big one. But yeah, that's this video done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like if you did, and I'll see you guys on the next one.